Oh, okay.
Close the door for me, please.
Okay. Pretty good. Man, invest me one of these.
It's your car, ain't it?
Yes. Like I was saying, I could be telling a lot of stuff, from wherever, but they always okay.
Some opinions expressed on this program, those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of WNPR Radio, its management, supporters, or affiliates. WNPR reserves the right to stream, edit, or refuse content that does not align with our broadcast standards. WNPR 90.1 FM, Jackson, Mississippi.
Saying, did I leave my phone over there?
Yeah.
Man, y'all people took it so I can get
I
out.
thought you were living there.
No, not. It one call, you gonna get on this, and you ain't gonna want it when it rain. Take care.
Standing for the people with your host, like Ali Shamsuddin, and guests heard every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. exclusively on 911 FM WNPR. This program shall focus on facts that we share with each other on this platform designated to inform, educate, and organize our communities in Jackson and abroad. No rational comments or opinions are regarded as irrelevant, as your comments and participation could prove to be the cornerstone of our goal, being to restore moral ethics, integrity, respect, and progress, and efforts to reach for a better future in all aspects of the everyday lives of our family and our children. You now join your host, Ali Shamsuddin, and
Restart device.
standing for the people, clear to
Restarting device.
on the voice of the community, 9.1 FM WNPR.
Good evening, good evening. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday. I'm Ali Shamsuddin, and this is Standing for the People. And for those who want to try to see what we're doing here at the station, you can look me up on YouTube, StreamYard, Standing for the People, or you can go on my Facebook page, Attorney Shamsuddin or Ali Shamsuddin, either one. You should be able to see me on Facebook. And I determined that I should announce that because sometimes people want to know who I have sitting in the studio and they want to see them. So if you go to YouTube, StreamYard, Standing for the People, you'll see us. And if you go to my Facebook page, of course, Attorney Shamsuddin or Ali Shamsuddin, you should pick us up that way. Hopefully everything will run well. As I say, this is a call-in show. It's a call-in show, and we try to bring you facts. Facts. This is not a gossip show. We're not interested in hearing about anybody's personal lives out there unless it has something to do with how they're spending our tax money. But the idea is to bring information to us that we can use to help us make our lives better. That's what we're trying to do. We've been running this city and this county now for almost the past 30 years. When I say we, naturally, I'm talking about African American. There was a long time when we had no input whatsoever in the government of this state. None. When they had all these tricks and maneuvers that they undertook to try to keep us from voting, taking tests. Have you paid your poll tax? Did your grandfather vote or your great grandfather vote? Then now you can vote and all of these type of things. But now we do have the right, and I keep saying right. It's not a privilege. It's a right. Privileges have to be earned in some kind of way. But a right is when you are, that's like a birthright. You're a born American citizen. When you turn 18, you have a right to vote. And voting is so important This is how you have input, or we have input into who will govern our lives, who will make the rules, who will enforce the rules, who's going to be spending our tax money, our hard-earned cash that we give to the government. So it's very important that we have input into who these people are. And for the past 30 years, we were very encouraged when we began to put African Americans in these offices, municipal offices, Hinds County offices, and sometimes state offices in terms of the legislature or the state senate. I'm talking about two of the guests I had last week because they brought us some very informative information. And again, this is what we're all about. We want to understand what we need to be doing, what we need to know in terms of making our lives better as citizens here in Jackson. Now, we have to understand, here we are, almost 40% of the population in Mississippi. Mississippi has the distinction, if you want to call it that, of being the one state, the number one state in this country, in America, that has the largest Black population percentage-wise in its citizenry. We're almost 40% of the population. Now, before what they call the period of right after Reconstruction, that period where the white community, those who were racist and bigoted, they understood that we outnumbered them in numbers because we were the slave population. At that time, because the slaves worked the plantation, in most counties, we outnumbered the white folks 10-1. 10-1. And they understood that if we ever began to vote, register and vote, the impact that we would have right after the Civil War, during Reconstruction, as they call it, we had Black senators, even had a Senator Hiram Rebel, who went to United States Senate out of Mississippi, a Black man. So when that racist white supremacist attitude realized what was happening there, that's when the White Citizens Council sprung up, the Ku Klux Klan. Their efforts were to intimidate the Black population by intimidation, harassment, to cause Black folks to leave the state. That's what the effort behind that was. A lot of people don't realize what all this lynching and hanging and intimidation was about. That was to get the Black population to leave the state. Most of us went straight north, Chicago. That's why they call Chicago, Mississippi up north. We went to Chicago, we went to Detroit, we went to Cleveland, Ohio, Indianapolis, north. And you can't blame them for wanting to get out away from that situation. But enough of us stayed here and enough of us are coming back here now that we can have a tremendous impact on the elected officials in this state, let alone in the county and in the city, which I'm going to talk about more. But at almost 40%, and the census say we're increasing in numbers. I'm talking about African American. That we were in a position that we can determine who will be our state, not just our state senator, our two senators that go to Washington, D.C. Our Congress people. And in some, at 40% of the population, we may not be able to determine exactly who goes all the time, but we can determine who won't go, for sure. And we won't be hearing all these jokes and all these condescending statements that we send people out that are sent off to Washington, D.C. and talk about the black population like they do. Here recently, they give honor rarium and speeches for Charlie Kirk. Not one word was said when the Jesse Jackson just recently passed. To show you what that mentality is. So the best way when people say, well, Jim, today you be talking and what's the solution? What's the solution? Very simple. We're not asking anybody to go out and march. We're not asking nobody to do any sit-ins. We're not asking anybody to lose their job. We said register and vote. Register and vote. I had State Senator Solid Norwood on the show last week, and he mentioned his effort to try to get voting rights returned to people who have served their time in the penitentiary. People who have paid their dues for whatever the sentence called for, they did it. They should be their right to vote should be returned to them. Why did I say that? Now, I just said the population of black folks in Mississippi is said to be around 38% of the population. 38%, close, approaching 40. But then you look at the population of our prison system. 38% of the population at large, 68% of the prison population. 68%. Are we just to accept that black folks are just that much more criminal minded than white folks? Or are there reasons behind this situation? And the people we put in office should be addressing all those issues. Last week with Solid Norwood, Senator Solid Norwood, I had Grace Butler Tamara Washington, newly elected state representative, brought some very pertinent information. You see, it's time that although the white communities had a 200-year head start on us, it's time for us to start making some advancements to try to catch up. You know, I mentioned last week, or the week before, the mayor comes out and announces the city is $30 million in debt. $30 million in debt. Made that announcement. So then all of a sudden everybody started pointing toward the mayor or the former mayor. But we have to realize, you know, how this government works. That's why I say a lot of times when people run for these offices, they don't even know what their responsibilities are. The city council, those 7 people that sit over there, representing each one representing the ward, they're responsible for the city's budget. So if we $30 million in debt, they should have known that a long time ago. That shouldn't have been no surprise. Matter of fact, their role is to keep a finger on the budget such that there was no, hey, we overspending now. So but everybody want to point the finger at everybody else because they don't want us to understand these roles that they have and the responsibilities that they have so they can keep doing what they're doing. Whoever the mayor was shouldn't be in a position that they can overspend the budget without the city council knowing it. That's just where the system was put together. Now, how do I know that? Because I worked with Henry Kirkton, the late senator, state senator Henry Kirkton, who put this process together. I called the Justice Department myself personally to explain to them why we wanted a war system. And here we are, the mayor can step forward and say we're $30 million in debt, and the city council saying, what? You know what I say to us? The whole world is watching. I mean, this when it goes on the news, everybody picking it up on their phones everywhere, in Siberia even. So now, what does that say? What does that look like? What does that look like? As the late, I just call him Mr. Mayor, Charles Evans used to say, when you're in charge, be in charge. Here we are in Jackson, 83 to 85% of the population. We run the city. We run the city. We are the government of the city. That's why when State Senator Norwood sat right here in this studio and said the city of Jackson shouldn't be looking to the state to get most of its money to run the city. Most of us didn't know that. And they don't want us to know that. So then you would say, okay, where is the money coming from? It's coming from us, the citizens who live here in Jackson. Go ahead, Carly, on that.
Good evening, Mr. Secretary.
Good evening.
I listened to your show last week. Yeah, Mr. Norwood and other guests.
Yeah, that was Representative Washington.
Right. From what he explained a victory for and his other colleagues, I couldn't understand that he basically was saying that you weren't really able to tell a victory per se for any effort that they made as far as stopping the other majority from doing something that they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my point was that they sit there and don't have no other avenue of coming up with a clear victory for the citizens that they represent. They're just really just trying to defend against the majority from making any law that they saw fit that they want to make. It's just where they're just sitting there like a statue. They don't have enough African Americans or Democrats don't do anything in the state capital. And then another thing, you're talking about the 30 million or $111 million that the city said they in debt.
Yeah.
Well, the state was talking about giving $26 million. They're going to give the city of Jackson, was proposed to give the city of Jackson $26 million the other weekend. Then the mayor came out and said we $30 million, So that means that we weren't going to get the $26 million because we were already $30 million in those.
Well, then you heard that you must have heard this Senator Norwood say one of the reasons the city of Jackson are not able to get the appropriations from the legislature is because they don't do their audit. They don't keep the audits up. So that's one reason that our city council is sitting there. I've had city council members tell me personally that they hadn't had an audit done in 2 or 3 years. We put them there so that type of thing shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen.
It would have been all the other times that the state of Mississippi could hold out their giving the city of Jackson money and then give it to them for whatever reason that they saw fit not to give it to them for. Here's what this water thing, this water debacle. Now, the governor, every time they have an emergency, that really, the city of Jackson don't let take part in it because we don't really have no real emergency for the world or anything else. Not going to really thank God Almighty.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that every time this state have what they call emergency, the governor runs up to the federal government, beg them folks that had his hand, and them folks give them money, come down here for emergency that this state should have for prayer. Now, for the city of Jackson, going to the Washington, D.C., give money for emergency that they had pertaining to the water. Then the state will say we're incapable of having our water because it was being that it was an emergency. Then we had to go to the federal government to get money to do what they've been doing all their life.
Well, you make some good points.
If somebody out there set up a board taking over the state of Mississippi, because they always run into they always out of the other part of the United States. In the United States, this state is always running to the federal government for ahead.
Let me address some of these things you're saying here, because you're making quite a few points. You see, and that's why I had the legislators in here. I mean, the Sister Washington and Brother Norwood, to help explain that what basically is coming down, we've had in Jackson for the past almost 30 years, is mismanagement. It basically comes down to that. And then out of mismanagement, you get businesses that leave because they're not getting the benefit of the taxes that they're paying. And then the state or the federal government don't want to give money to the entity, that is the city and the county, who not even keeping up with their budgets. How do you run a city or how do you even run a household if you don't know how much money you got in the bank? That's just pure common sense. But we put people in office and they've gotten by, the white man won't do this and the white, we broke. How do you know you broke if you haven't done an audit? You might have money sitting in a department over there, sitting over there that you didn't even know you had. I had Councilman Vernon Hartley expressed to me that under Antal Lumumba, they had a department over there, a whole department, that nobody even know what they did. 17 employees and 19 cars. Is it any wonder when we in debt? We paid I said we because Antal, the mayor, convinced the city council to pay $33 million to a white law firm to come over here and sign an agreement put together by Siemens when we have a city legal department. And you wonder why we're in debt.
Mr. Chairman, I need to say one more thing. How can the state of Mississippi think the city of Jackson will be better than the state of Mississippi in the way that they run? Therefore, the state of Mississippi, the city of Jackson is mimicked the same thing that the state of Mississippi is doing. The city of Jackson can't be no better than the state of Mississippi.
Well, I appreciate you calling back, but I tend to disagree with you there. I mean, I ain't trying to be like them in that. We put black folks in office because they're supposed to understand what we've gone through to even get here. They need to understand the price that was paid for them to even be sitting in those offices. But it appears that when we put people in these offices of authority, they think we put them there to get rich. They sit the whole time they're trying to figure out what kind of contract can they go into that their friends can get rich. And of course, you know what happens after that. So and that's why I say we're not a dumb people. We're not stupid. We've been ignorant. We wasn't informed about anything. We didn't know how anything worked. But now, whoever you are, your ward person, you should be talking to that person. How is it that y'all sit there and let us get $30 million in debt without knowing it? That's a question that they're supposed to be able to answer. How did that happen? Why? You ask them, why would you vote to give $30 million to a law firm out of Alabama when we strapped for money and we have a city legal department? That's a question. So we want to wonder why are we $30 million in debt? Is because the people who over there that's supposed to be sitting over there controlling the money, not making the proper decisions. The former mayor had 4 people sitting over there, Brazil being one of them, that voted for everything he wanted. Period. So that's why I'm saying with the information that I'm bringing here, I bring people in here who know what's going on, and they're telling you. Go ahead, Carter, you're on there.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for campaign.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Cap?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, you were speaking about an audit. Do we have an auditor for the city of Jackson?
Well, let me explain. As far as I know, now we used to have a black auditing company firm, Banks, Finley and White, from what I understood. The city council members had told me that, a couple of them, that did the auditing for Jackson, the city of Jackson. All of a sudden, no. Anton Lumumba replaced them with the accounting firm of councilwoman, the former councilwoman, Virgil Lindsay. White, a white firm. For what? Why? And then all of a sudden now we don't have any audits done? That's a question. See, that you asking a good question, Cap.
Okay, but he replaced the other firm with her. So what was the last audit she did?
That's the last one anybody can. You keep asking those questions, brother. You're on the money. The last one that anyone could tell me about was about 3 years ago.
Okay, now you just mentioned this is something that our leaders supposed to be abreast of. Well, then why hasn't the city council and the mayor stood up and said something? Or did something about it?
Well,
you mentioned the $30 million that we don't have that's missing and don't have no accountability.
mm-hmm.
So if the councilmen know these things, why they sit there and be silent? Because this money is money, the taxpayers' money.
Right.
Now this new mayor just come in and just said we $30 million in the hole. Well, how did he find that out? When there's no audit?
Well, supposedly they're supposed to be doing an audit now. Now, who is actually doing it, I can't tell you. But supposedly they're supposed to be doing an audit now, and that's supposedly how he came to this information. But see, Cap, you're asking, the question you're asking are very pertinent, viable questions. You know, that's why I'm saying we got council members sitting there doing everything but what they're supposed to be doing, and that is looking out for our money.
So why is the mayor so secret about this new audit? I guess people that he has searching the books and trying to find what he can find when it comes to finance. Why do you want to reveal who his source is?
Well, that again is another good question. And if at all possible, I'm going to try to have that information in the next show. If not even having the person who's doing the audit on the show. This is our information. That's one thing that we as voters and citizens need to understand. These people work for us. For years, ever since we've been putting black folks in these positions, they've turned the whole scenario around as if we just supposed to bow down to them. That's not how it goes. That's really not how democracy is supposed to work. But we put people over there in the city council, and it's a fact. You know, if they sit there and they say we $30 million in the hole, that's a lot of money, Cap.
It is. It's a lot of money for the city that could be used for other things. But now here's another problem I have. I ride these streets every day, sometimes 12, 13 hours a day. I hardly ever see a JPD on the street. Now I see a lot of cars at certain precincts. What has happened to our police department? I mean, isn't that one of the number one responsibility of the mayor? They're trying to fix the broken police department.
It was, and again, brother, like I said, keep going. Look, you remember when Anti was in office, Anti Lumumba, and they put this thing out there, community control, community watch, and all this, and any grant monies that came in, instead of bolstering our police department, they're hiring their friends. Some of them still out there getting this money. They're hiring their friends. Instead of we getting trained police officers well paid on the street. See, this is the type of thing, Cav, that hey, when I hear people like yourself asking the question, that's the question that's supposed to be asked, and your council person and your mayor is supposed to be able to answer that. Even why, when you ask why is it like that now, they're supposed to have an answer for that. They don't want you to know it though. I guarantee you, but the ones who voted to give that $33 million to a white law firm over in Alabama don't want you to know that they did it.
You're right.
Appreciate your call, brother.
Thank you.
I see that the whole emphasis here. Like I said, well, we want to understand. We can cure this ignorance that we've had. They've kept us ignorant on purpose. State Senator Norwood sit here and I got a list of projects that the state is giving money to the city of Jackson. $250,000 to assist the city of Jackson in paying the cost of Parks and Recreation Department. $200,000 to assist the city of Jackson in paying the costs associated with paving Hanging Ross Road from Northside Drive down to Tacoma Drive. Go ahead, Carly, on there.
Yes. I agree with that. Not agree with. Okay.
Yeah,
I
hey.
moved back, got retired from the military, and it's terrible. And what you're sitting here saying that worth the $33 million that they paid a white law firm. What about the $90-some million that they got back from Seaman? What about that?
Well, I'll break that down. I'll break that down for you. I'll break that down since you asked. I'll break it down for you.
That's a lot different than 33.
Right. So now what was put out there to the media, to the public, was that the city of Jackson was going to get a $90 million settlement from Siemens. Now, these are the water meters that we didn't need in the first place that were brought in here under Harvey Johnson's administration. We didn't need them in the first place. But anyway, Siemens said, okay, since everybody is up in arms about it, we're going to give the city of Jackson $90 million. Well, they didn't give the city of Jackson $90 million. What they did was, and they put this agreement together, so that when I get down to what this $33 million went to, you'll see it even more clearly. What they did was, they said, look, city of Jackson, for these non-functioning water meters, you don't have to pay us $45 million. We're going to write that off. So the city of Jackson didn't get $45 million in cash. Then Siemens said, now what we're going to give you in cash is $43.7 million in cash. Now you got $43.7 million in cash, $45 million that they didn't get at all. And out of that $43.7 million, the city council went along with Anti Lumumba and gave $33 million to a white law firm out of Birmingham. When we have a city legal department, that if they had signed that agreement, they were already getting paid out of our taxes. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, them $2 million then, because between 45 and 43, it's two.
Well, see, I'm seeing that.
You just said now. Oh yeah.
Listen to me closer here. I said it was put out there to the public that Jackson got $90 million. That was false. That was false.
Isn't that public record?
I had it on my program. I bring it on the program again. I had it on my program. I read from it on my program. I'm not making this up, brother. Okay, go ahead. Well, listen to me. Before you go any further, before you go any further with that, listen to me. What I've been saying. Oh, yeah, you kind of coming in on the tail end. What I'm saying here is, if they were going to give $33 million to a law firm, we got white law firms in Mississippi. At least the money would have stayed here. That's what I was been saying. But besides the fact that they didn't have to give that money to anybody.
Was they qualified for that job? You know, everybody don't do the same thing.
Well, okay. Let me tell you. I'm glad you asked me this, brother, because if you just coming in here, you need to hear it again. Wait, hold on. I just said that agreement was put together by Siemens. The company that said that they were going to give us $90 million, they put the agreement together. The law firm that got that, hold on, man, you want to hear? Let me tell you. Hold on. The law firm that got $33 million, they didn't go to court not one time. They didn't do any depositions, not one time. They came over here and signed that agreement and got $33 million. So when you say the best law firm, how do you know who was the best law firm when they didn't have to do nothing in the first place? Didn't do nothing in the first place.
If you hire someone when you want to see that criteria, when you want to know what
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean,
Somebody did. I guarantee you somebody did.
You understand what I'm saying? They had to see something.
What
they've been doing.
What they say, the proof is in the pudding. So what did we get for $33 million? That's the question. I got another call. You can call back, call. Go ahead, call you on there. Call back. I'm sorry if I cut you off. So yeah, the question is, ask the questions. That's what it's all about. You don't make me upset. Ask the question because the question is supposed to be answered. Go ahead, call you on there.
Yes, how you doing?
How you doing, Big White?
Man, to get in the best start years ago, I ain't got no complaints about nothing and nobody.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, brother.
One thing I am complaining about, this is to all the citizens in Jackson, Mississippi. Judge, we got a water emergency. Everybody needs to pay attention. We do not need a water commission, period. It is not needed at this time. What we need is to make sure city control is maintained of the water in the city of Jackson, period. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts, off the fact. Now, a lot of people think that because the governor has signed whatever it is, the water commission bill that was voted on by those other Republicans, but it's not over. The city council, the citizens of Jackson, and the mayor has to sign and give authorization in order to have the water commission to do and be over Jackson Water. So people need to understand exactly what's going on. That has to be done. They need to tell their city council person or councilwoman or councilman that we do not want or need no water commission, period. We don't care what the governor that signed. We don't need that here in Jackson. All happens here in Jackson. They have a matrix that they use, Judge. And the matrix is CCID,
Well, that's a whole nother issue there. Let me get this. I had a call. Y'all be there?
Yeah, I'm here, Judge.
Hold on, I got a call. I got another call, Brother White.
We want to make sure that everybody understands we do not need that water commission.
I'm with you on that one, brother.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Go ahead, call you on there.
Look, I want to thank you for taking my phone call. I want to thank you for putting out great information. I would like to get your number and call you out there once you come out there. Is that possible?
Yes, sir, you can. Yes, sir. And matter of fact, again, I put it out here, 601-202-6027. 601-202-6027. And again, for those who want to really see what's going on here, you know, go to StreamYard, Standing for the People. I'm on YouTube, and you can go to my Facebook, Attorney Shamsuddin, or Ali Shamsuddin. I'm on Facebook. You can see that as well. But hey, when you call in, we want to hear your questions. It ain't about agreeing or disagreeing with me. You know, the thing is, we want to get things done. That's the bottom line.
Look, sir, spell your last name.
SHAMSIDDEN. Shamsuddin. Thank you for your call, brother. I'm going to go to some other call. Yes, people, you know, hey, the idea is to get fired up. But remember, nobody here, especially me, I'm not saying we need to go out and demonstrate or have any marches or doing any sit-ins or asking anybody to put their job on the line. We ain't doing that. Register to vote. That's what we're talking about. Go ahead, Carly, on there. Go ahead, Carly.
Yes, sir. Just go to Make It Make Sense website, Facebook page, and sign up and for the petition for the water problem y'all got. We got.
Okay, was that Make It Make Sense webpage?
Yes, sir. Make It Make Sense webpage. You can fill the petition out. Not just wait on somebody. Just sign petition. Get number, a lot of names on it.
Thanks for the information, brother. You know, and again, people, let's keep in mind, with the numbers that we have a unique situation here in Jackson, Mississippi. We have a unique situation here in Hinds County. We have a unique situation here in Mississippi as a whole. And when we start really registering and voting, that's when we'll start seeing the impact of our strength. We haven't been putting the best people in office. That's a fact. We can look around us and see that. But then you don't have to stay like that, and we don't have to get discouraged. We don't have to get discouraged. We just keep going, register to vote. Register to vote. We'll get this thing right. Go ahead, Carly, on there.
Yes, I got one other question. Now, what the governor is doing in this situation, wouldn't that be the definition of a conflict of interest?
And what do you mean conflict of interest?
Conflict, I mean, he has a private agenda as far as taking this water from the citizens of Jackson, based off the fact he didn't like the last mayor because he was colored. If the colored mayor was in this city, he wouldn't even step in the city. He said
well, we know that you're right, brother. We know the attitude that they have. We know the attitude they have, and for those who have that attitude, they're gonna feel the brunt when we register and when we vote. They're gonna feel the brunt. See, they feel like they can make all these slanderous jokes and remarks about us because they hope to keep sending our children to prison. Now, let me tell you that again. Now, we 68% of the prison population. 68%. We just had 38% of the whole population for the state. Here we are. I was saying on a previous show that we losing 17 out of every 1,000 births for black mothers in Mississippi. 17 babies don't reach their first birthday in Mississippi out of every 1,000. And then the mothers are dying too. Hey, David.
Judge, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. This is David Archie. I just wanted to take a few minutes to call in tonight. Is my understanding on last week, you had my opponent was on your show and Judge, some of the things that I've heard that he said, and I had an opportunity to listen to just a little piece of it. That is the lionest man in America that we have sitting in Hinds County District 2.
Hold on, brother David. I like to get into that, but I'm getting a lot of calls tonight, man, and they're gonna cut me off here. Fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I want to talk about. The issues. I want to talk about the issues with this water. I want to talk about the issues with this. They're going down that same road with CCID, the same road. They're taking the same step. They took the same step with the airport when they take over with the airport, take over with law enforcement, came into the city from a state level that has never been done throughout this whole entire state, taking control, creating their own municipal court where we are having to now pay fines into a court that the people cannot call and say, Mr. Mayor, the people cannot call and say, Mr. City Council, this officer did such and such and such and such, and that we will take action. They don't answer to anybody down there and when it comes to the CCID. Now, they did the same thing when it comes to the 1% sales tax. They created this board, Judge, where they tax the people of Jackson, Mississippi, and allowing folks from other parts of other counties and other parts of the state to be on the
benefit
board.
from our money. Brother, I got to get another call, and I got a guest here, so I'm going to have to get you before I go on.
I want to get in there and discuss these matters with you, Judge. We're going to open the people's eyes about these issues that is at the forefront of the takeover of this city as well. Thank you so much, Judge.
All right, appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, just do one more thing out there. While we sitting there watching the water, be careful. They done already took the airport.
All right, brother. Look, I got a guest here. You can slide over, brother. We're going to get you on here. This is an issue that but it's been years in the making. You know, you're bringing it back to the forefront. Tell the people who you are, brother.
I'm Reggie Ruffin, and I represent the Just Cause Coalition in Dallas, Texas. I'm born and raised here in Jackson and been living in Dallas past 37 years. And I came back here because of an issue that came back and haunted us. My father passed away back in 2010. And, you know, you're thinking about, you know, what happened here and there. And it just kept on going. And then I find out a few years later that Frito-Lay had a settlement fund set up supposed to be to compensate the workers that worked there that were exposed to hazardous chemicals in a hazardous environment. But what happened after that is that when you call and inquire about it, they said that when did they die? And then when you tell them when, they say, well, you don't qualify, you know.
Okay, let's make this plain. Now, you're saying Frito-Lay that used to be here in Jackson.
Right there on Bowling.
Had created a toxic work environment that people were dying.
It was right. It was
literally dying.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, Frito-Lay has a history of atrociousness all over. And we're not just talking about here. We're talking about everywhere. You know, just like when you talk about how the corruption is here in Jackson, it's everywhere. It's not just here.
Mm-hmm.
And our politicians now, they're not representatives of the people. They're political celebrities, supposed to be advocates for the people, but instead they're just celebrities. Just on TV, who run, all this other stuff, and they're robbing us blind.
So what kind of effort do you have in terms of families that may have been affected by this Frito-Lay?
Well, one of the things I did, I started this back in 2019, and we went out there and we started talking to people, and people were starting to hit back. But the thing was, we was getting some good momentum. We was getting information, we was getting kickback about this, and I had to try to tell people that what we're trying to do, that we're trying to inform that our family members who already done passed away, they were hiding behind a 3-year statute of limitation. And no one didn't know, a lot of people did not know there's a statute of limitation for wrongful death. That's part of the reason why Frito-Lay fronted this so-called $30 billion settlement fund, because they knew they wasn't going to have to throw out that much money.
So you're saying people are still dying out of this?
Yes.
As a result of having worked here at this Frito-Lay?
As we speak, yes.
Are there people out there that need to contact you?
They know the number, but I pass it out again. I've called numerous. What
is that number?
My number is 214-931-5645. My email address is reggieruffin50@gmail.com.
So these for people who have worked at Frito-Lay.
People that work at Frito-Lay.
Who may find themselves now suffering from cancer or have had a family member to die.
Exactly. Because it's like I say, it's almost sickening when you find out we're pulling the curtain back to show what's really been going on and how this been going on all this time, and people did not even know.
So you say your father passed, or did he pass as a result?
He passed away in 2010
as a result of
the cancer. Mm-hmm. And I went and got his medical records and everything, and found out just how bad it was. Most of his left lung was already deteriorated and gone, and then the right one was still just there. And and I spoke to some other people that worked at Frito-Lay, and like Philip Harrison, Philip Thompson. Mm-hmm. He worked there, and he talked about a lot of things that had gone on. He talked about like inhaling not just the chemicals, but the seasoning, the peppers, that can cause respiratory issues.
The herbs and things that they
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Herbs and spices.
So again, how can a person? What do you want people to do here in Jackson as far?
I definitely want them to start going down into the mayor's office and start trying to talk about this, because we're not going to get anything done until we actually stand up and start taking our lives back. Mm-hmm. Because our families that went out there to provide it for us, they paid the ultimate price every day going to work, and they're working there 12 hours, and no matter what the situation was or anything, they had to be there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then they paid the ultimate price because we were just starting to come up in the 70s. People getting nice houses. Yeah. It was flourishing, and it was because of Frito-Lay. But then Frito-Lay turned around and paid them back they was working in a hazardous environment, and they breathing like they were working around the area and they cleaning up the stuff, and then they spray the area, and then they just go back in there and start working. They didn't have on no masks, no PPE, no clothing.
There was no policy or procedure in terms of protecting the workers.
They did not have policy or procedures to enforce all this until maybe the 10 to 15 years. So you're talking about from 1974 to 99 when they finally plant closed. My father was one of the first people that was hired during that time.
Okay, give the people your information again so we can kind of get ready to close out here. So how can you be contacted, and what's your name?
My name's Reggie Ruffin, and a lot of people didn't know about me at first, and then when they knew Jim, because my father was Jimmy Ruffin, so a lot of people started knowing it then, because people first didn't want to talk to me because they're like, what are you doing from Dallas trying to find out what's going on here? But then once we talked and they relented and everybody started understanding what's going on. I filed this lawsuit back in 2021. And then I hired an attorney. His name was Guy Rogers. He took the case. But what he was doing, he's sitting up there just collecting money, getting information from people, but wasn't doing anything, following up on it. Now I'm up here in Dallas, doing my thing and everything. He's supposed to be trying to handle things. He didn't.
So is the lawsuit still going? Is it still a viable lawsuit?
This lawsuit was terminated back in 2022. I had to file a bar complaint against Guy Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
That finally, after 3 years, we had to wait 3 years until they made a decision. Guy Rogers was found liable for his malfeasance, and he was disbarred.
Okay,
And
so is the case back open? Is it open?
we're going to get an attorney to go back and see what we can do. The other thing we also got to do, we also got to start letting the public know more about this, because a lot of people don't know. If we can get the PR to start forcing some issues on this and start talking about this, because it can't just be one or two people. I had five other clients. We was doing a class action lawsuit. We was trying to get other people to join in on it, but there was so much skepticism, backbiting, like when someone asks me questions about the case and I'm telling them, we need your information, we need testimony, we need to know what's going on. But people are like, well, I need to get paid.
But
I said, well, I can't do it that way.
Give your information out again so people hearing can contact you out.
They can contact me on my phone at 214-931-5645. And my email address is reggieruffin50@gmail.com. You can look me up on Facebook, Reggie Orlando Ruffin. And like I said, my phone's always on.
So I hope the people got the number out there. Mr. Ruffin here is looking for people who have a loved one or even themselves who may have suffered physically from working at the Frito-Lay plant here in Jackson. It's no longer here in Jackson, but from what I'm understanding, he's trying to get this case open again so people can be compensated for giving up their health as it and even their life.
Yeah, right, their lives, everything.
So I appreciate you coming in, brother. And again, I appreciate the calls we get anytime. Don't think if you have to call and agree with me. Just have your facts together. Because what I'm going to tell you, what I'm saying here, as I said, this is not a gossip show. I'm not putting out gossip. This is information that we need to know how our government is supposed to work for us. And stop this attitude that people we send downtown or over to the school board or wherever they are, thinking that we are beneath them. They're supposed to be working for the servants of the people. That's how it's supposed to be. So we're gonna keep bringing this information, but most of all, I want people to understand our biggest weapon is registering and voting. Don't let them put that narrative out there. Too many people paid the ultimate price or paid dearly for us to be able to go to a poll and vote for who we want to sit in these seats. And not only that, once they get there, monitor them. Be brief, Colin. You're there. Yes.
Availability water thing on our water bill, is that on everybody's bill?
It's gonna be on everybody's bill, is what I understand.
Jackson, but everybody.
Where Jackson?
Well, now, see, that's a problem.
I agree with you. I agree with
Because
you.
if we got a board and they all got a say, so they all need to pay whatever we're paying.
Appreciate your call, Colin. Thank you. We're down to the last couple of minutes here, but so again, callers, the idea is for us to really get involved. Again, we're not talking about doing any market and any sitting in and anybody losing their job and any of that. It go down, register, and vote. If you really want to, the ones who are trying to hinder our progress, the biggest fear they have is that we're gonna wake up and we're gonna register and we're gonna vote. That's the biggest fear they have. Because here we are again, we're almost 40% of the population here in Mississippi. Almost 90% of the population in Hines County. We need to understand what power that is. So here we are. We're down to the end of the show, but then again, anytime you want to call in, 601-948-9550. Check it out, Lady Sheree.